I just wanted to touch upon the point of leadership and the importance of leadership. I think in this time, as leaders, our ability to be open, to be transparent, and also to show our human side and be authentic in what we're doing is very important. We need to connect with our people, but we also need to direct and show them guidance on where they need to do and what they need to do next, but also be open and honest that we may not have all the answers. And we are very much responding and adapting as we're going through this and learning. But super important is to think about building that trust, building that transparency, and very much role modeling the values we have in our organization to see the future success of our businesses. So I'd like to think for us around how your leadership style may have changed as a result during COVID, and how that might continue to change as we move into the new norm. So may I start with Donald, sort of thinking about leadership style and what's important during this time?
Well, I think one of the first things to note is that I think leaders and the companies will be measured by their employees, their customers, their suppliers, and their partners about how they behave and how they react going through this. And I think, traditionally as leaders, we go straight into execution, we get operational, we get into data and numbers and facts. I think this one was very different. And I think you have to, put the employees right at the front of this. And you have to sort of be empathetic. I think that's the most important trait here. I think you've got to communicate even harder than ever. I mean, I spent a lot of time with my customers. I spent a lot of time in our operations, wherever those were in the world. And one of my senses now has just been cut off. So basically, you have to compensate for that by going online, being available. I mean, Henrik mentioned, going to town hall meetings. So I'm doing every week. We going around every site or every geography, talking to our people. We're also trying to do the same with our customers. But I think the one thing that I've seen, you need to get a lot more social. So we opened up a lot more channels on Slack, for example, where you've got to get more involved in with your employees or with your customers. And I think you've got to listen an awful lot harder, and you're listening more for the emotional side of things than actually, the physical and those kind of things. So, and I don't think that's going to change for a long time. And as I said, people are going to value what you do and what you behave, and you're going to have to be really flexible through that listening. So you have to adapt. I mean, we talked earlier about taking away uncertainty. At some point, given clear direction of who goes to the office and who doesn't, and then how you react to things, being flexible to be able to adapt to that as well is going to become more important as we go forward. And a lot of little things. We did things like, obviously, we gave fruit baskets and then we did vegetable boxes, and then we just, somebody sort of put input into that and said, well, could we spread that? So we did a pay it forward campaign. So instead of you receiving a fruit basket or a veg box, you nominated somebody else to send that to. And the positive impact of that was just tremendous. It didn't cost a lot, but it meant a lot to a lot of people, which was a small thing in a very important time.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. Thank you. Sam, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Donald said. It's very relevant to us as well. But I think to add to it, the openness with which we've had to deal with people is very different to how we've ever dealt with people in the past. We've always been a relatively open firm, but I think going through why you made decisions, how you're thinking about things, being very open to the fact you might have not spotted something. And again, what Donald said, listening directly to everybody. So we have 130. So I've been trying to get through at least 20 or 30 people every day and spend 15 minutes on the phone and actually listening out for those things and working out how they're seeing it and what they're worried about, and then trying to react to that and communicate that back to other people who may also have the same worries. So I think that constantly talking to people directly, not via their heads of department or line managers, going directly to everybody, from people receptionists who've been furloughed to our settlements people, to our junior trader, whoever it might be, finding out the mood music, seeing what they're thinking and recognizing their fears as very real, and dealing with those as a sort of authentic CEO that you would like your own family. So I think the openness is really critical. And what we're looking for, I think, from us as leaders and all the heads of department is this calmness and also a confidence that things are going to be okay, even if you might be slightly worried that they're not. I think you projecting the confidence and being utterly calm with whatever's happening and however worried you might be has been fundamental. And I can only really get that message across by actually speaking to people and having a visual with people, which is hugely time consuming, but I think really worth it.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot there around that sort of openness, listening, connectedness, authenticity, calm and confidence. That's great. Thank you. And I might just ask the question to Henrik and Ida as well. It'd be great to know if there's anything else from your side around leadership style. Should we start with Henrik?
Yes, as I think Donald said, that is really your own really note in the way your employees and customers and so on react. But I think that some of the things that we did was we did like what Donald also mentioned. We opened social channels and stuff like that, engaged in that, so people could communicate. We opened a couple around how can you help each other, how can you give good advice. But we also had sort of a banter social channels, and some of the office banter, they said, well, we don't want that in the business channel. So we have a banter channel so they can share WhatsApp clips and whatever, and we all enjoy that. On the other side, we've probably been a little more structured in how we communicate. So, for instance, we have the senior management group. We meet once every day, and that is mainly just sometimes takes 5 minutes, sometimes takes half an hour. It's mainly to discuss what have you picked up, are there any issues we need to deal with, is there anybody who has any concerns, what is the feedback you get. And on top of that, the board members, we meet now every late afternoon just to pick up on items. So we get this sort of informal but still quite structured approach of what is going on. On top of that, I would say what Sam also mentioned, is we spent a lot of time with talking to people all around the organization. And I guess working from home and having the tools at hand that we have today sometimes actually makes it easier. It's easier to jump on a development show and tell call, talk to the guys, what is you're doing, and do the same with the project managers, etc., etc. And I think it is actually quite interesting, and there, of course, also you pick up a lot of things, what do people think and what's going on in their heads. We have probably been lucky with the fact that people have been very busy throughout this. And while work for some has changed, the overriding picture is that people has been full on and therefore has been doing what they used to do in the office. Now they've been doing it at home in a slightly different environment, slightly different context.
Great. Thank you, Henrik. Ida, building on that, is there anything additional you want to add around even from the board side about how the executive team are working together?
So I think that one thing to comment that I found as a challenge is as part of our job as CEO is to be a problem solver. And we start every day with new problems that we need to solve. And during this time, I found that it's harder to solve problems, that it's harder to meet people, to jump on a plane, sit face to face and find solutions. And as you know, it's getting longer and longer, it's just, you know, you find the new challenges. So you need to change the way you work slightly, and you need to find more creative ways to find ways to resolve challenges that we have in the business. So this is where, you know, it's something that I had to be creative and find solution. From the management and the communication within the board, I think that as long as the communication anyway is open and supportive, it's better to share the challenges and keep the line of the communication open for bad and good news in order to discuss it and find the right solution together. With people, I think that the main thing is people are worried this time. They're worried that for their health, their job, what will be the impact of on their life going forward. And as business leaders, we need to find ways to give them the comfort that, you know, both we as executives and the company is strong here to support them, and we are going to go through it together. And once they feel comfortable and they are part of a group and they are not alone in this, it gives them a lot of confidence and help them to do their job and just get through this situation.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate all that incredible insight to share. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Natalie.